Okay. Well, so speaking of generalities, when we're on dates, it seems like a lot of issues, just kind of come down to a series of kind of routine conversations. Do you have any more advice for just how to participate in the conversations as you're getting to know someone? Maybe you make it to the second date. How do we approach conversations about
So,
this?
when I've been on multiple dates with somebody, I've always had something in me where I've never wanted to lead somebody on. So if I really don't feel comfortable with somebody, I won't disclose that I'm trans on a first date as a typical thing unless I'm really, really comfortable with you and I think this is going to go somewhere. So on a first date, I'm probably not going to let you know. But if I see you for like a second date or a third date, then you're more likely to have me disclose that information. And if someone does disclose that information to you, remember, it's their information to give to you. You have no right to know this information unless you're getting really, really serious here and you're sharing your life with this person. I see it as, okay, I'm getting to know you a bit better. I feel comfortable enough testing the water here. Let's see where we go from here. And if someone does start to open up to you and you are uncomfortable, don't be a wanker. Please, don't be a wanker. Don't react like, they've all of a sudden developed a contagious disease in front of you. They were the same person 15 seconds ago as they are 15 seconds later. Don't be a complete tosser here. It's the most dehumanizing thing you can do. If somebody says, look, I'm a trans person here, I'm a trans woman here, and I'm starting to get comfortable with you, I just wanted to let you know that. And then they leave it there. Don't then go, well, okay, do you have this, that, and the other in your trousers? Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And don't say, oh, does that mean that you'll now sleep with anything? No, don't do that either. Does that mean, and I had one person that was the most horrendous person. So does that mean that you make porn because you've got a dick now? Are you just a chick with a dick? It's like, and it's just like, be respectful to the person in front of you. Would you expect somebody to ask you those questions or say those things about you? Just because you're now dating somebody who's trans, you're not automatically transformed into somebody who is not the sexual orientation that you are comfortable with. So if you identify as a heterosexual male and you're dating a trans woman, that doesn't automatically make you a homosexual non-binary person.
It doesn't? What?
No, we're not, leprechauns here. We're not going to grant you 3 wishes with a pot of gold.
You mean you're a normal human person?
Absolutely.
Wow,
Yeah,
novel concept.
Human woman, right? Like I think it's important that we recognize not just that trans women are women, but that it's not like it's a separate category. And I think that is such a common challenge for cis people to really wrap their heads around, that if you are dating somebody and they tell you they're a woman, that only means that they're a woman. It doesn't mean that they're a cis woman. It doesn't mean anything beyond they're a woman. And if you feel like you are owed more specifics, well, then you should earn more specifics, only in the sense of being a safe person that somebody would feel comfortable sharing pieces of their life with you.
It's a level of insecurity that is on you, not on me. That's a you issue. If after I have disclosed to you about me voluntarily and you no longer want to keep dating me, fine. That's your choice. But be polite, treat me like a human, and don't, whatever you do, go into a hysterical patty like you're a 2-year-old.
You would think we wouldn't have to give this advice, but I'm getting the sense that these are real reactions that people do sometimes.
Because there was
in
a
short,
television
don't be
show,
a wanker.
Yeah, there was a television show in the UK where it was all about people going on first dates. and there was a trans woman there. And at the end of the date, she said, "Look, I'd like to see you again, but I'd like to tell you that I'm trans." And he was like, he stormed out of the restaurant. And it was like, "You've just done that on television, mate. You look like a complete prick."
Yeah. Glad to know we can rule this one out for the second date. Yeah. Wow. Well, and thank goodness that, we have kind of moved beyond this whole, pre-op, post-op, dichotomy when we're talking about being trans, I think, for at least for people who are, somewhat in the know. But what can you say about how to discuss someone's relationship with their own body? And I don't know if I'm asking that the right way or not.
So it depends what you're asking about with the relationship with someone's own body, because they may have had a lot of uncomfortableness with their own body, and they may still have a high level of uncomfortableness with their own body. And the number one rule that I have is, would you ask your mother this question? Or would you ask your father this question?
Yeah.
Would you go to your mother and say, "Hey, Mum, do you have a penis in your panties?" Would you say that to your mother? Because if the answer is no, then why would you ask somebody that you're on a date that question?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to follow it through. I know the audience is wondering. I'm not hoping to have sex with either of my parents at the end of a meal. How do you square that? Again, I'm not expecting anything being owed to me, but I don't know. How do you respond to that idea?
So the ways that you would go about asking those questions, you have to be polite about asking those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're hopefully not going to want to have an intimate after party with your parents. That's something that we're going to say is an assumption here, that we're going to say is something that we're assuming is true here. But you have to approach the question in a way of, well, am I expecting sex at the end of this date? Is this a first date? And if I'm expecting sex at the end of a first date, why am I expecting sex at the end of a first date? And where is it going? And what am I hung up about if I do have genitalia that I was not expecting presented to me? And if somebody has disclosed to you that they are trans, and you are polite in the way that you go about it, so you say, "Look, it's going to be an issue for me personally here if there's going to be a penis down there, because I personally am not in any way turned on or attracted or interested in penises. It's just not for me." And you are entitled to not be interested in a penis. Equally, you're entitled to not be interested in vaginas. And it's about understanding, okay, what am I comfortable with? And frame the question about you and not make it a them problem. It's a you thing. And you have to be, look, we're getting close now. I need to, for my own comfort, I don't want to lead you on here. I don't want this to be something that, well, I'm leading you up the garden path here, and I don't want it to be something where we're both now naked in front of each other and you've got genitalia that I wasn't expecting. So before we get to that, I'm just going to say I'm personally uncomfortable around penises, and if you have a penis, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to end it here. It's nothing to do with you. It's me and my preferences. I'm not going to have sex with somebody who's got a penis. Don't go, you've got a penis! It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen! Why didn't you tell me this? It's like, because I have no obligation to tell you about my body. I have no obligation to disclose my genitalia to you. If it's an issue with you and you are comfortable with yourself in recognizing that, and you have done that work, and you go, look, I'm sorry, I have a personal issue here, that's fine. as I said earlier, don't be a complete tosser.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a complex answer, but it still feels so foreign for so much of our culture. Like, nobody is trying to pressure people at, well, that's another comment we can get into in a moment. But it's worth saying, like, trans folks are not en masse trying to pressure people into having sex with them that don't want to be having it. And yet there is just this notion that, like, well, I'm super straight, so I need to let people know so that they don't. And I think that is really a reaction of people who have been disrespectful towards women, being afraid of what goes around coming right back around to them.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Christy. I was thinking that as Phoebe was talking, that, this sounds a lot like, some homophobia that we're hearing, as well as just, again, with the misogyny of people thinking, that if they go out on a date with a woman, that her body is now somehow their business and their property, and that they are entitled to do what they want with it. And that's not the case. FYI. Yeah, I love how you put that, Phoebe, too, about, make it about what you're interested in doing, because, isn't it a good idea for us to be having these conversations before we're getting intimate in the first place, as far as, hey, here's what I'm expecting, here's the kind of thing that I would like to do or not like to do. I mean,
it's like a parallel that I would draw is if somebody was introducing a new kink into your relationship and you were completely turned off by it, you would say something fairly politely to them, go, look, that's not for me. If certain genitalia is not for you, be polite and go, look, it's not for me. It's maybe for other people, but it's not for me.
Yeah. I mean,
don't yuck someone's yum. Yeah, you're right. It applies everywhere.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you for giving some coaching on that. I hope that is helpful for some people out there.